Hey, how you doing? Let's do it to it. Let's go on through it. Let's get me a sip, and then we'll get on to doing a Frank Marshall game. Okay, this is a 4 nights game here. Uh, his opponent is Kami, and black is Frank J. Marshall. They played the 4 nights. Black cheerfully gives up a pawn in the opening to avoid the well trodden and uninvited path of an unusual variation. So black will actually give up a pawn in the kind of the opening, and so we'll get to see how Marshall handles that. So knight b6, that's to hold this pawn here. And then the other knight comes out to c3, and then the other knight comes out, and then bishop b5, and then bishop b4. So Marshall's developing. Knight takes pawn. See, if knight takes, then this actually isn't the best type of setup for us. I'm thinking. Let me see. Bishop takes e5 was okay. It was played, and then he doesn't take. Because that actually is taking's actually the best move in this line. But he doesn't do that. He actually plays knight to b5 here, or knight d4. That's what I mean. Seeing the introduction comment, this line of play had a certain amount of basically voyage to it. What he's trying to say is it has a little bit of it's fun. It's like, you know how you go, if you were to go on a cruise, you get to take a voyage down maybe the Nile or the Mississippi River and stuff like that. That's kind of what he's doing. He's voyaging a position. Alrighty. So bishop to a4. Marshall castles. Knight to knight to d3. This is so that he can go after the bishop. And so the bishop actually goes to let me see here. Oh, knight. I thought it was king. Goes to b6. Pawn e5. He's trying to keep his pawn. Knight to e8. Castles by white. And the idea is he's trying to play f4 and try to hold on to it that way. But Marshall's like, you know what? If I'm going to gambit another, let's go. And so he can bring his knight out. And then he's got powerhouse. Black seeks a compensation for the pawn by playing to secure an open line for his pieces. Black is. Rook to e1. Pawn takes. Knight takes. And then pawn to d6. This gets his last piece into the fight, basically. Because the rook on d6 is in the fight, and that's good. Knight to c4. He wants to so badly get rid of this bishop. Queen to h4. This is to put some pressure here with this rook and try to win the pawn back. In keeping with Black's aggressive policy, this is keeping with Black's aggressive policy. Oops. Knight takes b6, and then h takes b6, or a takes b6, and then he plays d3. This is to get the last white's last piece out as well. Perhaps what he was saying is perhaps one of the lines that could be played here would be bishop takes knight. Might actually not be a bad idea here. Rook takes. So I'm not sure if did I move the rook right? Just let me make sure. Oh, I think I did a boo-boo after castles. I had it's actually rook king king to h1. Sorry about that. That's why the knight takes. Well, he comes back, and then now this makes more sense. And then now you can take, and then pawn there is what he played. What they're saying is that potentially this could actually be played rook takes, and now pawn here. So this knight doesn't have to worry about guarding the bishop on a4. It now frees up the bishop, but you have to remember, now you have the fear of a bishops of opposite color, which is drawish. And if rook like a5, then bishop e3, and it's kind of an interesting play. So knight to f6. As a result, white laps with knight to black could actually have played. They're saying knight. Oh, it's threat. Oh, I got it. It's gotcha. This is threatening here. Sorry, this is threatening a pretty good attack with here, and then something like that, or something here, or maybe even here with an attack here, double attack there. So there's a couple lines that they're going over. So f3, this is to prevent knight coming into g4. So rook takes bishop, knight. The only an exchange combination, but it gains time for black attacking his attacking plan. So knight takes, and then knight to f5. This threatens to attack the knight, and so that's the idea. So knight back to c. If you were thinking potentially this move, not so much, because you actually could play knight check because of the pin. And then if king comes up, then you have knight takes g5. And if pawn takes, then you actually have checkmate, so it doesn't work. So you have to always keep that in your forefront of memory. Knight to knight 6, beautiful combination. It's almost setting up a smother type of mate. Potentially with the check here, we may have a smother mate. King h1. Hold on, let me go back. I think I'm missing something here. Did I? What did I? Hold on, I want to make sure. Something seems like it's not working out too well. Knight. So knight takes bishop. Gotcha. Knight takes bishop. Pawn takes. There we go. Knight there. It's good so far. Takes bishop. Knight takes. Knight to f5. Okay, I missed a combination. That's the problem. Huh. It says knight takes. Oh, I gotcha. I gotcha. Knight takes rook. Okay, that's the thing. Gotcha. And then takes. Good thing we went over that. Knight to g4. This is actually a pretty sweet move. He can't really take here because of this. So he actually plays here. You're probably wondering after here, it's like, oh, you can win that. Not so. And then now you got a lot of problems that's coming down the pike. Kaboom. So h3 was actually played. And this knight g5 actually gets a sclam, so it's a good move. h3. Knight to e5. Queen f2. He's trying to exchange down because he's actually, white has a better pawn structure. See, he's got 4 and 6. He's got actually 7 pawns. So white's up a pawn, and if black trades down, it only benefits white. That's why he plays king h5, queen to g3, and he's going to try somehow to trap the queen to trade. Knight takes, pawn check, kaboom. perfectly sound sacrifice. And he takes, and then kaboom, and the rook comes smashing through. Queen goes up to g5. Queen takes was actually a mistake here. He said it was a slight mistake. And if takes, takes, and then queen g2 was also a playable idea. Bishop takes, smash. Queen to yeah, so he's in a world of hurt. Queen e1 potentially could be played. All three captures win the rook pawn. So this is just smashing. I know I don't like using that word, but I mean it's just that it's all over. It's just good. You know, have you ever seen those wrecking balls type of things? I'll give an example. This is basically White's king got the wrecking ball treatment and to its whole king side, and now they're moving in with the bulldozers, and they're going to push the rest of the building over. And that's kind of what this queen would be, the bulldozer that comes in and just wreaks havoc on everything. But what he's saying here, better would have actually been queen takes pawn. We looked at that, and that gets actually an exclam mark. Surprisingly, it looks like, what are you doing? You're allowing this? Yeah, but we can actually block. Now we're up. He's got 4 pawns, and we got 6 pawns. But remember, we're still threatening mate with an attack via here. With if he comes up here, we come back and it's mate there. So it's not like he's out of the woods yet. So what he's saying is, after this move, bishop to f4 would actually be played, and then now we have a really nice exclam move, h6, queen to d8 check. The king comes up to h2. We don't mind that the bishop's under fire because the queen's guarding it. King to rook 2. Bishop to h2. This gives shielding to the king. Queen h5 check, or queen g4 check, right there. And then king to rook 1, or h1. And then rook to d2. And now the idea is actually to play bishop, queen to h3. Keeping the protection of this bishop, and also now going for the devastating pin on the king. But he kind of missed that. He didn't. I don't think he calculated it 100%. It extended the game's length out another 20 moves, and he could have probably finished it off in probably 30. Instead, the game's all the way out to 20 or 48. And so we're on move 25. It extended out another 23 moves. He probably could have ended it in 10. So 35 probably would have been the ending. Because White really has nothing after the queen crashes on h3. But I think, you know what, sometimes players get tired, and rather than make mistakes, he's still winning here, but it's just going to be a long drag out fight attack, boom boom. So rook to h, this wins it wins the bishop, so it's not like it doesn't win something. So 5 and 6, so now the king has to move. king to f2, and then the rook. Hold on, what am I missing here? Yeah, oh right, got it. Sorry, I was in the wrong sector of the position. So h4, rook to g4, rook to e1, and just trying to get some attack going, getting this rook activated. King to f7, rook e4, rook takes rook, knight take. Actually, oh, pawn takes. Yikesies. I don't like that. I think that's a little too. I don't really like that much. I think that he should have tried to keep. I understand that bishops are good at defending both sides of the board. We went over that with our endgame. But this just makes the theory of two weaknesses easy for Marshall, because now he's got two targets to go to. He can bring a king over here and then start targeting this piece right here. This piece right here. So the king can target this. The king can target here, and the bishop can target that. Two weaknesses. So this move here stops the knight from coming in to these two posts. Jeremy Silman talks about in Reassess Your Chess called anti-knight moves. This is an anti-knight move. This does, though, allow the knight to come to a4, but we really don't much mind because we're trying to get our pawns steamrolling down. So he actually goes yikes, what in the world? Oh, okay, that's the wrong move. One second. Oops. Okay. Where is that? Ah, good. We're good. We're good. Okay. Knight to b4 was actually played here, and then now we're going knight to b5. This deprives the last outpost of for black. I don't think that was the wisest of ideas. I think this might have been better, and then if he plays there, you kind of got the knight. The knight is kind of dominated, and then the king can actually come over and take this knight. So you gotta always be on your tippy toes. So b5. So h4 to try to undermine that. Pawn takes h4, and then knight takes a4, not h4, a4. And then now we get our pawns. We're trying to break up some pawns. Knight to b2, bishop to e6. This is so that if he is thinking about coming in here, we always have a bishop infiltration right there with some pretty big time damage. Gotta love that. There's his idea of rerunning the knight. King to f6. Your king is a fighting piece. That's what we're learning in our endgame right now. So that's an idea. So king to e3 to hold on to one of his weaknesses. Then we have knight g5. The first step of the winning plan, black obtains an outside pass pawn. Pawn takes check, king takes check, knight to f4, bishop to a4, and this is, he's trying to get around here to get this into a bad position. Knight to e2, bishop e6, knight to d4, queen d7 to protect, knight to f3, check, king to f6. Now this passed pawn's going to be a headache for black. I mean for white. King to f4. Pawn h4. There we go. Now he's getting it. Second step. The outside passed pawn ties down white's pieces. Check on e5. Pawn takes back check, so it's like knight takes check, and then king to e6. Third step, black's king crosses to the queen side. If now knight to f3, then king can actually get to d5, and white is finally out of moves. So he's trying c4, rook h4, pawn takes, knight to d3, king d4 or d5, and then king to knight 4, and then pawn to h3. And black actually resigns here, because I know what you're thinking. If he tries to stop it via this, then we can actually push, and when if the knight stays there, the king can actually come in to I can't. Oops, the king can try to come over. That's right here. Gotta be careful here. And then if he tries this, he might try something like this, trying to get a fork in. And you can't check anymore, so the king's gonna have to come. No, so he can't go there. So he'd probably have to come to something like this. And there's no way to stop this from queening then. Yeah, it's kind of a tough one. Gotta always be on, like I know I said it again, tippy toes, but you always have to be on there. Can't alright. Oops. let's do our puzzles now. Okay, dokie. Let's see, knight here, queen, king, 2, 2. Oops, I almost forgot a knight. 2, 2, 3, 2. Almost forgot a pawn. 2, 2, 3, 2, 2, 1. White to mate 2. What's the other one? What's the other mate? There's one more mate. Do you have the other checkmate? There's one more checkmate. Yep. There we go. That's the, and then you got this one here. So you got both of them. There we go. One, 5. Oops, I almost forgot a rook. That would be helpful. Yep. Alright, let's move mate 2. Do you have the move? Oh. No, the white king's in the right spot. That's where it is. Yep, everything's 100% in the right spot. There's nothing out of place. There's a mate 2. I rechecked it like 3 or 4 times to make sure I had it in the right spot. Oh. And this is a tough one. You gotta look really deep for this one. Yep, you got it. And if he queens, you have mate. That's the first mate. And if he takes the queen, there's if he takes the queen. What happens if he takes the queen? That is the question, because it frees up this move here. So rook e6 must not be the correct continuation, because there's one line that gets him out of it. Okay, bishop g2. Bishop g2. If rook takes queen, then there's really nothing. He still can run here. So rook e3. It still doesn't, rook, there is no f3. Just wanted to take a see if I'm going down the right track. I saw this, had to make sure it was right. This is the move here. There you go. You got it. Great work. That was a tough one. Sometimes I check sometimes just to make sure. Yep, that was tough. But hey, we're tough. We're made of sterner stuff. Rook. Okay, dokie. Let's make sure we got this 2. So 2, 3, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. Okay, perfect. There we go. Just so yeah, all can see mate 2. White to move mate 2. What's the other mate? Nice. There's one more, I believe, checkmate. There's one more checkmate here. Do you see the line? Oh, drat, you're right. Sorry, that's my bad. If there's drat, I forgot that there wasn't a pawn here. But it would be mate. This would be mate if the king was like over here or something. This would be a cool mate, because then the queen could take, and then oops, then you have there. But you're right. Yep. Okay, so we found the mate. Drat, that was such a cool sacrifice. I wanted it to work so bad. That'd be a sweet forcing move. But you can't have everything in chess, so you gotta settle with a with that mate, and I'd be happy with that. As long as it gives us a victory, that's what matters. Okay, there we go. Okay, dokie. So one. Okay, perfect. This is the same thing. This one's a really interesting one. This one is really, really interesting. It's kind of a, it's kind of one that you wouldn't think that it would actually work. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's actually pretty ingenious. This mate here. Now there's one more. What happens if the bishop takes? What's the mate if the bishop takes? Do you see the mate in one? Bishop 8, bishop. What is the mate? Yep, if bishop takes, yep, there you go. There we be. Sometimes we're blessed and we get the ability of doing 2 or 3 mates. So on this one we got to have the blessing of being able to do another mate, which is nice. So rook, bishop, king. Boy, I wouldn't want to be the black king. He's getting totally surrounded. But it's interesting. The white king's in the oops, sorry, wrong king. The white king's in the same predicament, but there's one difference. It's white to move here. The only difference is it's white to move. Hey, you're fine. You're doing great. Hey, it's all about fun and improving. No. Well, yeah. Just, is there another one, though? Let's see. Is there another mate that you can figure out as well? There's one more. This mate's a good one. That's a good mate, but there's one more. I believe nope, I'm sorry. Well, no, there isn't one more. Drat. There isn't one more because he can come out. I was hoping that he would play this and then we'd have that mate, but he doesn't. You're right. There's only one mate. Only one. This is the only mate. And then that's checkmate. It's too bad we didn't have something here. That would be another nice sacrifice. Boom. But didn't come to fruition. Let's see there. Oops, I have the knights in the wrong sector of the board. Let's see there. So 1, 2, 4, 1, 2. Oops, I forgot the king. 2, and then there we go. Wow, so close. Black is so close to actually queening. I mean, not queening, checkmating the king. Black is so close, but it's white to move again. So white to move and checkmate. You got it. There's the mate. Is there anything else though that we can do? Let's say he doesn't move. Let's say he... Actually, he can't. Oh, wow. You're right. He has to take. So I guess there is nothing we could do but mate. Is there anything else? Let me see. There. If we checked here, he's got there. So, yep, that's the only move. That's the only move. I was just trying to see if there was a secondary mate at all. And there is no second mate. So let's clear the board. 1, 2, 3, 2. Okay. Right there. There you go. The common mating pattern. The bishop and knight mating pattern. You're gonna. That's actually throughout a lot of different openings as well. Just stay focused. So that's good. Oops, almost forgot the black king. Where's the white king? Ah, here we go. And then another knight. So 4, 5, 3, 1, 4. Okay. Nice. There we go. There's your mate. Let's see here. Oops, I forgot a rook and a king. Oops, there we go. Let's see, 1, 4, 4, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. Right back. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so Queen F. Queen F3. F3? Where's Queen F3? I'm looking. Queen F3. Let me see. Where's Queen? Oh, C6. Okay. And then if he moves anything. Oh. Yeah, if he moves anything, if he moves a rook here, or this rook, or this bishop pawn, or this, or not this pawn, but if he moves these pieces, any of these pieces, this moves mate. So if he moves that, that's mate. So oh yeah, and then you're right. If that, then rook mate also. Rook a8 mate. So there's like tons of different mates. That one was mate mate prone right there. Okay, let's see. We did that one. This one may look similar, but it's not. This one's actually a tiny bit different. He has one that looks very similar, so it's not like the other one. So don't fret about that. It's not like the other one. A couple of the pieces are the same, but like the knight was here, it's now here, so we're good. And then the knight that was here is now here. So let me make sure I've got all this right. Yeah, we got it. We're good to go now. No, the answer, because of the pin, it's not the same. See, the difference is the knight isn't there, so the pin, there's a pin there. You can't push it. So we got to come up with something a little different. Let's see here. If we check, it comes. Maybe it's, no, that's not it. Yep. There you go. You got it. Nice work there. You worked through it and you found it, and that's what matters. Let's see. Ah, 2 rooks for black. Okay. Black's got a lot of material. Lots and lots. Oh, Father Pogar. It's from Father Pogar's book. The puzzles are from that. The 5,332 problems, combinations, and games. Let me see. Make sure I got this. 1, 2, 3, 3. And oops, the cane's gotta come up there. There we go. Now that should be spot on there. There. See here. This is an interesting one here. Excuse me. Boy, we gotta. This has to be forcing. There can't be any lapse of time. I think I got it. I got it. This one's a really interesting one. Really interesting. I like this one. Yep, there it is. There it is. There it is. Yep, you got it. Bishop g5 is mate. And if queen goes to D, then you can actually take, you don't want to take there, that's mate, not that. And if rook takes, then queen actually, I believe, could take on this one. Or you can't do a bishop, so it's queen takes e5. Boom. Nice job. Nice. One more, and then we enter what we like to study, our endgame. Wow, he's got a boatload of minor pieces, black does. Okay, this is the last one. There we go. And then we'll get on to our Jeremy Silman after this. Yep, you got it. There's the first mate. Sorry, that's the wrong spot. Right there. Nope. My bad again. This is mate. Sorry, H7. There we go. Now we got it. Great job. We chewed through those like they were nothing. We're now going to be looking at what we studied last night. Oops, right there. Let's make sure I have this right. Yeah, this is the dual purpose. We talked about that if it came down to just a pawn like this, the only end a blockader here. So if white had, I'll pull up another board. I'll show you what I'm talking about so we can refresh it, because I want to make sure that you're all on board to what we're studying. I'm not going to make this one into a study. I'm just going to show you what we're talking about. Okay, here, if a rook was here, let's say a rook's here, a rook can't basically oust that rook. And if a bishop and a bishop was here, this bishop cannot oust that bishop. And if a knight was here or a knight was here, a knight really can't oust that knight without having to trade, and then the pawn would be lost. The only piece that can remove the blockader would be come on. Let's put it in the background. Would be a queen versus queen. This is the only piece here that can oust that blockading piece. A rook and a rook can't do it. A knight and a knight can't do it. A bishop and a bishop can't do it. Only a queen can get rid of the queen. That's the blockader. So I just wanted to keep that as what we were talking about. So, and you have to make sure that your queen has two purposes, so that this passed pawn can actually work. You can have also. I should have done this. Darn it! 1 second. Let me pull up something. Hold on. Yeah, hold on. This was actually a scenario in one of our in the book, that black actually had he had these many pawns. It was like something like this, but white had a bishop here, a king here, and then he had like a pawn here. It's something like this. And black's, even though he's got these passed, even if he didn't have this, he may have 5 passed pawns. It may look like, oh no, white's losing, but this one advanced passed pawn is worth all of these passed pawns and more, because it's more advanced. And that's what we're talking about. We're going to be going over is we have to make it so that there wouldn't be a way that the queen could check our king and we can advance our pawn. So that's the first step. It's called the dual purpose of the queen. The queen escorts the pawn down the board. It simultaneously covers the only road available to the king. That's the one. This is the one we're going over right here, right now. This one. So let's take a look at each in concept. That's what Jeremy Silman talked about. And then the second one that we're going to be going over is doubled pawns, protected cover. The double pawns around the stronger king. This is the next one we're going to be going over. Is the king acts as a wall, blocking any and all checks from the enemy queen. So then it says the queen has the ability to control the queen square of a passed pawn while simultaneously protecting the king from checks. So white, what do you think the move for? Oh, you already found it. Good job. Good job. You already found the exclam move. Congrats on that. Good job. So white's monster B pawn will win the game unless black can generate some counterplay against the king. Black could try if this is played here. Hey. Here that queen d1, king h2, g3. Wait a second. d1. Oh, I got it. Oh, if it was black to move. Okay, I gotcha. But he could try something, but now he can't do any checks. Why not push the, because he's in check. Oh, why not do that? Well, if we pushed this pawn here, the problem would be there's a check, and it's actually perpetual. It's perpetual. Good question. Good question about that. First of all, you have to cover the checking diagonal, and also at the same time you're covering the queening square, and so it's a dual purpose. White's queen has become the master of H2 and B1 or B8 diagonal, which means that then that White's king can move to H2 immediately from and won't have any harmful perpetuals. While simultaneously the queen escorts the pawn to B7, B8 equals queen. The fact that it attacks F7 also doesn't hurt too, that it attacks here, so it's able to escort this pawn down, cover this whole diagonal, and vice versa attack this pawn. So it's doing three things. That's why it gets an exclam. Queen E1 check, King H2, then Queen to A5. The only chance is to try to pin this pawn so that the queen won't be able to push. But now the threat of queen takes F7 comes with check, comes into play. Part of the idea. King H8. It's he says far easier is actually going King H6, and then you have Queen F4 check, and then G5, and then Queen to D6 check, with B7 and B8 to go. We have to keep our queen along this diagonal. Remember, he has a perpetual check if we ever leave the B8 to H2 diagonal. So that's why you're probably wondering why he didn't check here, but he checked on D6 was to keep the check. When the king moves is to push B7. The queen's going to have to sacrifice her life for that. Then we take and we're up and we're going to win. So it's far too easy for that's why he plays H8, is he's trying to keep that in mind, and we got to be very careful here. So Queen E8 check, King H7, Queen E7 check. By the way, if you were thinking that we should play B7, it's a double question mark. This actually sets up for a perpetual Queen C2, C7, followed by, oops, sorry, let me see, what am I missing here? Hold on. Huh. Hold on, let me make sure I got this right. Ah, here we go. Not E. It's right. It's at this point here. Sorry, not this here. That was wrong. It's this one here. If he pushes here, gotcha. This is the double question mark. Had to get it to the right spot. And then this is the double question mark. And what'll happen is, after the king moves, the queen can actually, if you want to, potentially, well, you can't I guess you could perpetual with back and forth if you wanted to. So I think he's probably though going to take the pawn. He'll probably just, after the king moves, grab the pawn. So that's why we have to check. King H6, Queen takes H4 check. Though it's hardly necessary, why not pocket a few free pawns, then return to the position a bit richer? That's what Jeremy Silman said. So King G7, Queen E7. Yeah. King H6. And now B7 can be played because we cover here and we cover there. The queen covers the 2 points, and the only move that the queen could actually play is actually queen a7. So only move that. And then now we can actually check on f8 and king h7, and then we actually queen, and he resigned at this point. Note how the new queen takes up the task of defending this. It's so cool. The new queen takes up the task of defending, so he's forced to actually take, and that's why he resigned, because there's not black's over. It's over. It's all over. Now we're going to be looking at, we're going to pull up a whole nother one. Let's do it to it. We'll clear the board. Okay, dokie. Who's to move? Okay, it's white again. Just want to make sure there. That's 3, 2. Perfect. Okay, study. White to move. Oops. This is the double protection, double pawn protected cover. And we talked about that double pawn protected cover. Pawns around the king's side act as a wall blocking any and all checks. So that's what this is doing. So in this position, white's doubled f pawns form a perfect anti-check shield against any infiltration or attacks by black's queen. Note that if he took the double pawns on f and made it healthy by placing it on h2, black would be able to annoy white with check on d5 or check on e4. Since the king is safe, white can go about the business promoting his pawn. So if the king was over, if the pawn was over here, that would be a check, and that would be a check. I want to ask, what is your idea here for white? Think about our plan with our queen. You're white. Make the best move for white. This move makes black resign. This move makes black resign. There we go. There we go. Boom. Kaboom. And you have nailed the victory. Nice job. You get a 1 on your side and your opponent gets a 0. So it goes 1-0. 2 thumbs up. Good job. Now we're going to get to do another one, but this time it's versus 2 champions. Rubinstein is going to be white in this one here, and Capablanca is going to be black. So this is cool. These are the two of the greatest endgame players. Oh, that's not good. I'll have to look into that. So this is a really good one here. Oops, I have to come down the board a little bit. There we go. King there. And king here. Okay, let me make sure. 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 4. Okay, perfect. Huh. Yeah, of course I know what you mean. We're a team. I'll have to look into that because I don't know why. Sometimes, Allied Chess is slow and my stream's fast, and then I'm laggy, but the other one is slow. So it's like, So black is Capablanca. So I'll write in the game the name if you wanted to look it up. I think they probably do have it somewhere. Oops. Turn off caps. I don't want caps on. There we go. Make sure I spelled that right. P-E-R. Oops. I think that's right. Make sure I spell Capablanca right. Boom, boom. Uh-huh. That's the name of the thing. It's black to move. Snap. That was sorry about this. Gotta go back in and change it. It's black to move. Drat. I have to delete this one. Okay. Yeah, well, actually it was before the USSR came into power. This is 2014. Oh, 2014, I'm sorry. 1914, my bad. 1914. I put an extra 100 years on that. So subtract 100 years from that and you have the right date. Black solid pawn, C pawn is loose, and white's queen is more actively placed than black's. One might think that a super endgame player like Rubinstein will rein in a full point, but Capablanca is aware of the principle illustrated in the section and knows that he must use his queen and pawn majority to create a passed pawn or face certain defeat. If this calls for the sacrifice of another pawn or two, so be it. So you are black here. What is Capablanca play? Rubinstein is white and Capablanca is black. What is Capablanca play here? You're black. It's the only exclam move. What does Capablanca play? There's one move that's an exclam. From what I read to you, there's one move that's an exclam. Yep, you got it. There you go. Kaboom, congratulations. Immediately striving to make his pass pawn. Now Rubinstein does an exclam right back at him. Rubinstein does an exclam right back at him. What's the exclam move? White to move here. White to move. White throws an exclam right back at Capablanca and says, "Hey, you know what? You're not the only endgame, player. I know my endgame too, and I know how to handle that." Nope. That's a good try. Think of another move. 360, chess 360. Think of another move for White. One other move. The reason I like studying this one, these two chess players for their time, they were the greatest endgame players for their time. Capablanca and Rubinstein were the two greatest endgame players. So it's like watching, like a fight like there's no tomorrow, a chess battle like there's no tomorrow that you're not going to be able to get to see. Well, try it one more time. Try again. 1 sec, I'll be right back. You got it right. Play okay. Great job. C4 is now the exclam move. Congratulations on taking your time and looking at what Rubinstein's trying to do. He's trying to create his own pass pawn. He wants to also have that so that this one pawn on c4 is going to be a headache for Capablanca. Rubinstein wants to take and then move his queen out of the way, or maybe queen down here, and get it going up the board. Or after take here and check, and then get the pawn going. So congratulations on finding that. White, this is the best winning try in the actual game. White played this move though. White did play this move when B takes C, Queen takes, Queen B1, and King H2, Queen takes A2, Queen C8 check, H7, Queen F5 check, G6, Queen F6 check, A5, G4, A4, H5, H takes, Queen F5 check, King G8, G5 check, King H7, takes check, King G7, and the game was agreed to a draw at this point. So this was an instructive position arises if he plays this move. Let me see here. If C takes B, Queen takes B here. Queen takes A6, C4, A8 check, H7, E4 check, G8, E check, oops, sorry, that was the wrong move there. And C3, even though white is ahead by 3 big pawns, the C pawn is too strong for white to take a perpetual check. So white must take a perpetual check. That's what I mean. Okay, black pushes, one sec here, after this here. So you're asking, what if black pushes B3? If black pushes B3, he'd probably take here and then queen takes, and I think it would end up a draw if that happened. I think it would end up a draw. So what you actually have to do here is play queen to C8 exclam. This is queen C8 exclam with the idea of trying to get a pass pawn. You have to practice this, and sometimes you also have to keep in mind that white wants to create their own pass pawn as well. So you could, in theory, come over here and start gobbling later on. A simple bad idea is actually the interesting thing is if you had played A5 here, this is actually surprisingly a double question mark. Oops, double question mark move. It'd actually have been a blunder because queen D8 check, H, he takes, and interesting thing is if B3, this would also have been a blunder here because of B takes, pawn takes, and then queen takes A6. And if we tried another idea, if we tried E4, let's see, yeah, E4. queen e4 here. Yeah, queen e4. That's not as bad. It's still a mistake. It's still a mistake. C takes, queen b1 check, king h2, queen takes a2, queen takes b, and queen takes f. Oops, sorry. Hold on. What in the world is going on here? Queen takes b4. Ah, queen takes f. There we go. And then surprisingly, e7 is an exclam move here, and it actually wins. Which leaves only one last move. There's one last move. Queen a7. Which should prove to be still a problem after g4, pawn g4, a5, h5, a4, g5, b3, g6, queen a8, a takes b, a3, and if queen d7, queen d7, that's actually again a double question mark. Surprisingly, a2, g takes, king f8, and black wins. The idea behind it is a twofold. Queen c. The reason queen to c8 was actually played here is twofold. Black intends both to play potentially queen f5 and play for and cover the b1 at the same time. B1's queen is square, and that's huge, and potentially be attacking a2. That's the idea. And so white tries to thwart all that by playing queen to b6. This freezes black's a pawn and appears to tie black's queen down to the defense of a and c. Now, my chess friends, this is up to you. Find the best exclam move for black. Black to move. From what we talked about, black is tied down to here and here, so black can't make any more progress. Can you save the game? Can you potentially save the game here? And maybe we can actually win. But can you save the game for black? Black to move. It's in your hands. You are Capablanca. You are the great grandmaster endgame player, Raul Capablanca. So you think like Capablanca and play. I'll give you a minute or so to solve this. I'll pull up the time. b3. That'd be an interesting move. Try another move. Try something subtle. Try a subtle move. Try a subtle move. Actually, I call it a quiet move. Capablanca played this beautiful quiet move. It's an amazing move. I'll give you another 30 seconds to give it your best effort here. I'll give you another 30 seconds. You are Capablanca. Okay, I'll give you another 20 seconds to make a decision. Come on, you could do this. Give it your best shot. Remember, be fearless. Fearless warriors. We're chest cruncher berserkers. Okay. Queen e6. That's a good try. Really good try. Surprisingly, Queen f5. F5, which is a quiet move. It really doesn't look like it does anything. King f8. That's a good try too. Activating the king's never a bad thing. But you have to always remember what my Grandmaster teacher taught me. When there's queens on the board, you want to keep your king safe. So think, if there's queens on the board, keep your king safe. Because this queen, white wants to try to perpetual to stop this idea and win material. And he might try to do it using checks. It would be different if there was rooks on the board. Then you could bring your king out, but the queen is too powerful. So just always keep that in remembrance about queen versus queen endgames like this. You want to keep your king safe. Okay, so this move was a pretty hard one. It refuses to buy into the defend your pawn passivity myth. He takes, of course, and then king to h7. Nice job, though. You were right about moving, but it's h7, and that gets an exclam. It's interesting how black now black's two pawns down can play a quiet move like king to h7. Sorry, could play king to h7. It's clear he wants to avoid an unpleasant back rank check after the evaluation with a perpetual b1 and all that checks. So white plays a7. Unusually, to allow black to create an advance pass pawn is a bad idea. So if he was to play b7 here, queen b7 is a bad idea, because queen to b1 check, king h2, queen takes, queen f7, b3, king h5, king g8, king d5, king h7, king takes, c7, b7, and white should bail out with a perpetual check here. You should be able to bail out with a perpetual. But black played an even better move here to keep things to keep things alive. He played f6. He's not going to allow white to win the f pawn and get his own pass to e pawn going. f6 is an exclam move by Capablanca. He's playing brilliantly. Another calm move, telling white that he has no good way to improve his position. There was an interesting possible move here. Queen to e5 was a possible interesting move. With giving up a lot of pawns and creating an advanced, this is an interesting move. Where's the interesting move, Mark? There we go. It does give up this pawn here, but it does also create a passed pawn by checking when if white was to take, if white were to take, he could play up there and then you win, and now you have this passed pawn, but it still promotes a perpetual check, and we don't want a perpetual check. So Capablanca still keeps that idea of this check in his back pocket, while still bettering his position and neutralizing Rubinstein's pawn chain. So Queen e7, trying to get some. Also fine for black would have been Queen to a4 would be okay as well. And then b1 check, King h, b2, with an annoying threat of the e5, queen takes. Let me see here. The most dangerous move is probably e4. Let's see here. When he's saying at this point, e4 would kind of be a it would be a problem. This right here is actually a double question mark blunder. This move is, because he could take here, and but king, queen to e5. Oops, sorry, my bad. Wrong. That he stopped here. After a4, queen to e5 is an exclam move. Hold on, what am I missing here? Hold on. If see, queen is, okay, that's not right, so I gotta delete that, and I have to come back here when he's talking about queen to he played queen b1, check, kh, and there. So we gotta promote this to the main line. We talked about e5 is actually a good move here. This is a really good move. And then queen f7, a1 check, king h, and then now you take, and it gives black enough compensation to draw. Black gets enough compensation to draw here. So here, queen e4 check, king h8, e8 check, queen h, queen h5, king g8, queen takes, and then b3 win. We've seen time and time again the strength of the passed pawn mixed with the queen's ability to tie down the queen and also allow to prevent the checks. Should allow black an easy draw. Some of the variations were called from those by were culled from those by Paul Keene and his classic The Art of the Middle Game. And so we're probably going to call it here because we're entering part 9. It's called Endgame for Pure Pleasure. And we get to learn about entombed and dominated minor pieces and tactics. And we get to learn some endgame tactics, and then the 5 greatest endgame players of all time. We get to go over their games: Emanuel Lasker, Rubinstein, Joel Raul Capablanca, Smyslov, and Robert Fischer. So we'll call it on that. Do you have any questions before I log off? And if you like what you see, you can always click follow and join us. So I'm on every night. So alright. We've learned a whole bunch in our tactics, our end game, about how a queen, even if you think there's a queen blockading your pawn, there is a way to oust the queen. And now we're getting into the very last chapter of our endgame, chapter 9. I'm really excited about doing that. We get to explore the 5 great Grandmaster endgame players. But the first thing we have to do when you sit down and study, you have to have the right mindset. You have to remember that the mindset is to be positive. Always bring the Lord Jesus in with you. Always. And if you think you can, you will. If you think you can't, you won't. Either way, you're right. That's what Rusty told the little engine. Because she always wanted to be a hauler. She wanted to haul real toys to the real boys, real kids out in the real world. And that's one thing that she had to believe that she can do it. And you know what? And at the very end, she says, "I know I can." And you have to get to the point where you know you can study, you know you can learn the information, and you know you have what it takes. Because the Lord gave you an ability, a wonderful gift called your mind. And if we use it to honor and glorify Him, He will bless that. And so what we have to remember that every long journey, though, begins with one small step. So your first step is as important as your last step. And we have to remember that remember to treasure your victories and learn from your losses. And remember that mistakes do not define you. It's how you handle the mistake that defines you. So it's not if you're going to make a mistake like what we talked about. It's just when, and it's how you handle yourself when the mistake happens. And you know what? It's the great question of this. It's not, oh man, I'm down exchange. It's like, oh boy, what do I have to work with? Different tones. One is that you're giving up, and the other one is like, how can I use the material I have now? And that's the fighting berserker spirit. Bruce Lee said he didn't fear the person who practiced 10,000 individual kicks, but he feared the person who practiced one kick 10,000 times. And he also said that plateaus are inevitable. You're going to hit them. But our mind is so wonderfully made by the Lord Jesus that we have the ability to go past that plateau if we set our mind to it. We ask the Holy Spirit to help us, Anything is possible, but you have to be willing to receive that. And what we always talk about as chest crunchers, we don't give up. We get back up and start pursuing it again. And as grandmasters, you need to always remember to put on your grandmaster glasses when you study and when you're sitting at over the board, that you always remember to do that. For some reason, it will help you when you, even if you just go like this, even if you don't have glasses but you imitate it. If for some reason it triggers in our mind the ability to focus down, and it actually wins many a games, because it makes our mind be disciplined. And let's see, he also said, knowing is not enough, you must apply. Willing is not enough, you must do. And we'll do the Hannibal Smith. Remember, we love it when a plan comes together, but a great plan is we know what our opponent's going to do. We predict it, and we have a plan that benefits us around our opponent's plan. So we have to always have that. It's like a 3-step process. But, as always, we have to be chest crunchers. Chest crunchers hang up their coat, they hang up their hat. They sit down and study when most won't. A chest cruncher does. And that makes all the difference. It truly does. And as Wesley so says for the Lord Jesus, and as I say, God bless. And I'll see you next time on Chest Cruncher TV. Have a blessed morning, afternoon, and evening. And Lord willing, I'll be back on tomorrow. And we'll keep pushing forward and studying. And you know what? 2 thumbs up. Congratulations on solving the end games and being 1 chapter away from completing Jeremy Silman's book. If you like what you see, click follow and join us. You know what? 2 thumbs up. Hoorah, be blessed. The Lord be with you. And you know what? Have fun studying chess always. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.